March 30th spoilers for Beyond the Gates. Is Kat getting too deeply involved in whatever is going on with Haley and Lynette? Some secrets do not reveal themselves through major mistake, but through tiny distortions in a story that seems perfect on the surface. And at Fairmont Crest, Kat has once again become the first person to notice that one link in the chain has slipped out of place. There was a time when she threw herself into the hunt for the truth like someone who did not know fear, tracking Leslie, piecing together every fragment of evidence to drag the true face of a dangerous woman into the light. Even though the outcome back then was not entirely what she had hoped for, that experience left Kat with an instinct that is now almost impossible to silence. She no longer trusts anything that feels too clean, too smooth, too free of traces. So when Thomas told her about Lynette, about the woman Bill's law firm once helped rescue from fraud charges, about the strange feeling he could not quite explain, Kat almost instantly sensed the smell of another disguise. A person living in this era without leaving a real trace on social media, without a clear history, without the familiar threads that tie someone to the outside world, no longer makes her curious. It makes her wary. Kat understands far too well that some people do not erase their past because they want a fresh start, but because that past is powerful enough to destroy everything they are trying to claim. That is why Kat's confrontation with Lynette is not simply the impulsive act of a young woman who likes stepping into trouble. It is the reaction of someone who has sensed danger moving far too close to the people she loves. But that is also exactly what makes Kat's decision so dangerous. Lynette may be loud, obvious, or unstable like Leslie. People like that are often far more frightening. They do not attack through madness, but through a chilling calm. If Leslie is a visible flame, then Lynette may be poison gas slipping into a room so quietly that no one realizes it until it is too late. The deeper Kat digs, the more she is forced to face an even more terrifying possibility. Perhaps Lynette is not only hiding a past, but concealing her true identity altogether. And if Bill is beginning to suspect something too, or worse, if he has already vaguely seen the secret thread connecting Haley and Lynette and still has not spoken of it, then this is no longer a personal attempt to investigate the truth. It becomes a war between those trying to unmask reality and those willing to twist it beyond recognition before it can be exposed. Meanwhile, Haley is showing that her true nature never really disappeared. It merely went underground, waiting for the right moment to rise again. She may have paused her darker schemes against Bill. She may have behaved just well enough for others to mistake that performance for change. But people who have lived by manipulation never truly let go of the power that feeds their addiction. Thomas has now become her next target not because he is too important, but because he is too curious. And for someone like Haley, another person's curiosity is always a threat that must be crushed early. She knows Thomas dislikes her. She knows he is tracing the connection between her and Lynette. She knows that if he touches the right detail, the entire curtain of lies could be torn apart. So Haley does what she does best. She does not strike directly, but poisons Bill's perception, redirects emotion, bends trust, and turns Thomas from a loyal associate into a suspicious name in the eyes of the most powerful man around her. What is frightening is not simply that Haley wants Thomas out of the way, but that she seems to be clearing the board for a much larger plan. When a woman starts removing every threat one by one, that is usually not self-defense. It is preparation for control. On another front, Jacob and Smitty have finally touched something that could shake the entire plasma case. The new clue they have found is not just another step forward, but more like a violent jolt that pulls them away from all their old assumptions. Jacob's decision to calculate the timing of a meeting with Grayson in the elevator shows how much more reckless he is becoming, willing to press dangerously close to the truth. And the clear emergence of Dr. Leah Whitmore makes the picture even more alarming than expected. If she is only one major link in the chain, that is already bad enough. But if she is truly the mind behind everything, then this operation is going to run not only on greed, but on expertise, structure, and strategy. Moving Grayson to the free clinic, where security is weaker than at the hospital, sounds at first like a technical adjustment, but in truth it carries the feeling of a battlefield being rearranged. Places meant for the vulnerable are always the easiest to exploit, and that may be the bitterest detail of all. Jacob and Smitty are getting closer to the truth, but the closer they get, the more likely they are to realize that they are not just chasing a criminal network. They are touching a system protected by respected, educated, powerful faces. That is the kind of discovery that can solve a case, but also destroy the people who uncover it. At the same time, Naomi is falling into a different kind of crisis, quieter but no less fierce. Jacob's absence has not only left her lonely, but has opened a void that allows every fear she has tried to suppress to rise at once. She turns to Ashley and then keeps turning back to Ashley, as if clinging to someone who was still calm might keep her from falling apart. But what hurts Naomi most is not only missing her husband or fearing something terrible is happening to him. It is the fact that she cannot bear to let her family see her in this fragile state, because once that door opens, the secret about the BRCA gene may no longer remain hidden either. Naomi is trapped between two fears: the fear of losing her sense of control over her own life, and the fear of having to confess that for a long time she has been living in anxiety, in avoidance, in a silent battle with her own body. That is why every comforting embrace she receives only makes her resistance more painful. Some people avoid their families not because they do not need love, but because they know that once they are loved the right way, they will no longer be able to pretend to be strong. All of these storylines are tightening at once into a dangerous spiral. Kat is digging into an identity that could blow apart more secrets than she realizes. Haley is beginning to reactivate her darker side to break Thomas before he learns too much. Jacob and Smitty are standing before a clue that could expose a much larger power behind the plasma network, and Naomi is wavering between loneliness, fear, and a truth she cannot outrun forever. What makes this week so compelling is not simply the question of who is right and who is wrong, but the feeling that every character is walking toward a line beyond which there will be no return. And in stories like these, the most terrifying thing is usually not that secrets are exposed, but what people become when they are pushed into a corner.